In northwest Syria, their childhood has been laid to waste. Children whose country has been at war as long as they've been alive pick through filth for metal cans and plastic bottles. They shoulder the burden of a decade-long war, trading scraps of trash for scraps of food to keep them alive. Raz, with the pearls, is 9 years old.
We collect plastic so we can feed our siblings. I wish I could go to school and have friends. We come to the dump to collect plastic that we sell for 10, 15 Turkish lira so we can feed our siblings.
Mohammed Fad is 12.
I come to this garbage dump and I am here from morning till night to collect as much as I can and sell them to the man to make money and buy food for our siblings. When we come to the dump, the smell crushes us, but we have to bring food for our siblings. My wish is to go back to school.
The desperation is multi-generational. As his son looks on, Hussein Maslatau breaks stones. It's back-bending labor for $2.50 a day. But here at the camp, other jobs are hard to come by. And in this war, sons help fathers work, and fathers work to keep their children alive.
Without this, I would not be able to work. And if the aid stops, I will die, and so will my children. May God relieve us.
That aid comes in the form of handout bread. Everything here is a family affair. His son helps deliver the only food they eat. Without it, Maslato, his wife, and their 4 children would have nothing.
This aid that comes through Bab al-Hawa, if it closes down, we will die of hunger. There will be a famine. People will die of hunger.
More than 4 million in northwest Syria are at risk of hunger and depend on the Bab al-Hawa crossing, the last remaining humanitarian corridor between Turkey and rebel-held Idlib province. It's the only entry point for humanitarian agencies such as the UN World Food Program. The only means to supply starving Syrians who live outside government control. In total, across the country, the UN says 12 million Syrians, more than half the country, are considered hungry. This week, health and humanitarian workers rallied to demand the crossing remain open. They say Russia holds in its hand control of Syria's water and Syrian lives. Dr. Salem Abdan is the director of Idlib's health directorate.
Stopping aid would lead to a health crisis. At least 56 medical entities in Idlib city alone would have to stop working that serve 3 million people. The stopping of medical services and vaccinations will lead to a real disaster in northwestern Syria.
Russia's ally, the Syrian government's approach has already triggered a food disaster. And in a country ravaged by hunger, the Syrian military is now bombing wheat farms. It was supposed to be harvest season, but this farm is now a victim of the Syrian government's campaign to starve anyone living outside government control. The attacks target crops and people's futures. The farms that were spared do produce wheat, but the ground here is arid. And the farmers themselves fled here from homes in government-held territory and now can't feed their families without help. Farmers like Zuhair al-Sakat.
Today we are struggling. There's no bread due to the siege surrounding us. We left our vast lands and came to this place.
Since 2011, the United Nations says more than 300,000 Syrian civilians have died. And the conflict has forced more than 13 million to flee their homes. More than half of those remain inside the country, many at camps just miles from the Turkish border. In the summer heat, water is a precious commodity, no more so than for Zahra al-Khalid, who has too little formula for the 2 mouths she has to feed. They're 8-month-old twins, suffering from fevers and diarrhea, suffering from a war they have nothing to do with.
Our situation is very difficult, especially now in the summer with the heat. We give just enough milk so they can survive, because it is expensive.
These children's fate could lie with diplomatic votes thousands of miles away. They have been born into tents, and their futures have been stolen.